In a small, dimly lit laboratory deep within the heart of what was once the vibrant urban landscape of New York City, the gentle hum of machines provided an unsettling backdrop to the quiet despair that filled the space. This was not just any laboratory. It was the last bastion of human innovation, designed to study life, manipulate genetics, and ultimately, create a new type of humana being that would rise above the challenges that had beset the world. But here, amidst the whirring of monitors and the distant clatter of research materials, there existed a glimmer of warmth, a small miracle that sparkled defiantly against the sterile atmosphere. This glimmer was a boy named Eli, the product of years of meticulous experimentation, a testament to the best and the worst humanity had to offer. What made Eli extraordinary was not just his unusual genetic makeup that blended the finest attributes of humanity with a multitude of exotic traits derived from hundreds of species, but rather the undeniable spark of life and emotion that burned bright within him. At just 12 years old, Eli had one more feature that set him apart from the cold, calculated, sterile environment he inhabited. He possessed an innocence not often found in a child, molded by the harsh realities of laboratory life. He would often retreat to the smaller recesses of the lab, where sunlight still filtered through grimy windows, where sketches of galaxies danced in the light, creating whimsical shadows against the walls. He would sculpt little figures out of discarded materials, bits of metal, leftover lab equipment, and brightly colored scraps, almost as if he were creating charming companions for the vast emptiness he often felt. His only companion in this desolate place was Dr. Mira Solberg, a brilliant yet gentle scientist known for her fierce resolve and tender heart. Whispers of her name once echoed within the scientific community, spoken with reverence, yet now it was tied to the remnants of a shattered world. She had joined the facility after volunteering her expertise to help create a brighter future. Instead, she had become ensnared in the ethical quandaries that now surrounded them. Dr. Zolberg was the only one who chose to see Eli not as a mere experiment, but as a real person. With her wild curls framing her face, eyes sparkling with kindness, she nurtured his spirit while oscillating between hope and despair. Every day she would sit with him, sharing stories about the stars, telling him about ancient earthons teeming with life and color, a world Eli could only imagine. It was during these moments, surrounded by warmth and imagination, that Eli felt whole. "Tell me another one of those stories," Eli said one afternoon, his blue eyes wide with yearning. He devoured Dr. Solberg's tales as though they were delicate morsels of truth, giving him a sense of setting his feet upon soil that had long forgotten him. "Of course, sweet Eli," Dr. Solberg replied, her voice laced with the comfort of familiarity. "Once, there was a grand forest, filled with trees so old that their roots intertwined with the very stories of the earth. In that forest, there lived creatures of every color imaginable at sea: purple rabbits, green elephants, and a bird with feathers like a prism. They all lived together, sharing stories under the twinkling sky." As she painted the world with her words, an almost tangible anticipation filled the room. Eli would often close his eyes to envision these mystical beings, taking mental notes of their adventures, thinking of how he would navigate the complexity of life that lay outside the laboratory's iron grasp. He imagined himself among them, a vibrant, lively part of a community, but he was still shackled by unseen chains, a mere shadow longing for light. But there was a glimmer turning into a spark. The day was drawing closer when Eli would leave the lab, the promise of freedom igniting a tremor of excitement within those confines. While the empire of emotionless corporate overlords plotted to capitalize on Ellis' existence, Dr. Solberg had hatched a desperate plan. They would escape together. Days turned into weeks, each one simmering with tense anticipation. Yet under Dr. Solberg's care, Eli felt a resilience building within him, like a bud beginning to unfurl beneath its protective shell. They had devised an intricate strategy. Zolberg would disable the security systems, enabling them to slip through unnoticed. Each meticulously plotted detail was secured in their shared secret, a password spoken softly amongst them. What Eli didn't know as the days led toward their escape was the extent of Dr. Solberg's resolve. She carried the weight of the world on her shoulders, balancing the impossible task of protecting Eli while wrestling with her guilt for what mankind had done to the earth. Still, each day, she reminded herself that there was hope if Eli could just step into the world he belonged to. "Whatever happens," she whispered to him one day as they sat cross-legged on the floor, "remember, there is power in kindness, in friendship. You'll be the light that ignites the world, Eli. And when you do, don't forget to look for me among the stars." Eli nodded, though he couldn't entirely understand the full depth of her words. A child's heart was too trustful, too wide to grasp the shadows lurking beyond their bubble. For him, her words signified safety. He would indeed be Eli the adventurer, the hero, shining light of a world longing for warmth. But he could never imagine the storm that awaited him outside. One quiet evening, after another of Dr. Solberg's stories, a sudden commotion echoed through the hallways of their makeshift home. Eli's heart raced as he exchanged anxious glances with Dr. Solberg. The oppressive atmosphere shifted, the familiar hum of machines now morphed into a chaotic cacophony. Whispers of their plan had reached the ears of the Empire, and the gentle hope of freedom soon felt like a distant, flickering star. Eli held Dr. Solberg's hand tightly, drawing strength from her presence, feeling the warmth of her connection pulsate through him. "Are we?" he began, unsure of how to finish. Dr. Solberg's eyes shone with unshed tears, yet they contained fierce determination. "Yes, Eli. Now is the time. We must be brave, for the world awaits us." With that, they dashed towards the exit, the pulse of their hearts echoing through every breath they took. The lab that had been their home, the place filled with dreams, laughter, and tales of cosmic wonders, would soon become a memory, replaced with a new world teeming with possibility and unknown dangers. Together against the tides of fate, they left the light behind, stepping toward the unknown, igniting promises of warmth and adventures, yet to unfold out into a universe where hope collided with danger, and where they would become so much more than a scientist and her experiment. Outside, the night greeted them with awe. An embrace as warm as any story Dr. Solberg had spun. Stars scattered across the sky, twinkling brighter than any bedtime fairy tale, beckoning Eli toward the life that awaited him. The journey had only just begun. Together, they would become the dawn of a new age. The world outside the laboratory was nothing like Eli had imagined. It was a whirlwind of colors, sounds, and chaotic life that stirred his senses. He felt a surge of exhilaration and trepidation as he stood hand in hand with Dr. Solberg, the very air bursting with possibilities. A brightness engulfed the street they emerged onto, lit by the soft glow of street lamps that flickered like the stars she had once described. As they stepped into the unknown, the gentle pulse of life enveloped them. They were overwhelmed by the scents of street vendors, selling sweet roasted corn, and the rich fragrance of spices wafting from open-air kitchens. Children played nearby, their laughter ringing like delicate chimes in the air, while the tired forms of adults moved with the heaviness of the day on their shoulders. Yet amid it all, there was warmth, a community woven together by shared histories, hardships, and fleeting moments of joy. "This is the world, Eli," Dr. Solberg said softly, her voice threaded with awe. "Each person you see is a story waiting to be told." He turned to look up at her, the moonlight casting a silver glow around her. "But why did we leave the lab? Weren't we safe there?" Dr. Solberg crouched down beside him, her hands resting gently on his shoulders. "Safety can sometimes come at a price, dear one. That place was safe, yes, but it was also a cage. The outside world is unpredictable, but it is alive, full of laughter and love. And you, Eli, you deserve to experience all of it." With that, they set off down the street, a strange mix of anxiety and anticipation swirling in their chests. As they walked, they ventured into a vibrant farmer's market, a kaleidoscope of fruits, vegetables, handmade crafts, laughter, and music. Eli's eyes grew wide at the sight of roses blooming vibrant reds and yellows, their fragrance both comforting and invigorating. Dr. Solberg paused to pick a small bouquet of sunflowers, their bright petals shining like the sun. "These are for you," she smiled, handing them to Eli. "A reminder that you are meant to shine bright, just like these flowers. Eli held them delicately, their warmth resting against his heart. He couldn't help but smile back at her. What if I'm not a flower? What if I'm just me? But that is exactly as it should be, Dr. Zollberg said, her voice filled with certainty. You're not just anyone, Eli. You carry a spark that can ignite change, break chains, and warm hearts. You are not defined by what others expect. You are defined by who you choose to become. With newfound conviction, Eli strode deeper into the market, marveling at the rhythm of life all around him. He watched as the vendor laughed with a customer, a seamless exchange of kindness threaded together with shared laughter. A grandmother with silver hair bought oranges from a young girl who buzzed with energy, while a beat-up dog curled beneath the vendor's wooden cart, content within the collective warmth of community. As Eli gazed into their world, he realized he longed to experience that warmth. He wanted connections and friends, real relationships, woven through shared experiences, humor, and perhaps a hint of adventure. Can we help? Eli blurted out as they approached a stand overflowing with fresh vegetables. Can we be a part of their story? Dr. Zollberg raised an eyebrow, surprised but intrigued by his enthusiasm. If you wish, certainly. Let's see if they need assistance. They approached the vendor, a kind-looking man with weathered hands, who was packing fresh greens into baskets for customers passing by. Excuse me, sir, Dr. Zollberg spoke gently. My friend Eli is passionate about gardening and helping. Would it be all right if he lent a hand? The man turned, his eyes warming with curiosity. Eli beamed, feeling a pulse of excitement surge through him. I want to help people, please. Is that so? The vendor replied with a chuckle, ruffling Ellis' hair. Well, I could certainly use some enthusiasm around here. We could use someone to carry these baskets to customers. What do you say? Eli nodded vigorously, his heart racing with joy. Dr. Zollberg gently nudged him forward as the vendor handed Eli a basket filled with colorful vegetables. Off you go. Just shout for help if you need it. With each step, the weight of the basket, filled with veggies, became lighter as joy bloomed within him. Eli ventured forth, calling to companions of all ages, sharing small moments of laughter, while watching their faces light up at the sight of fresh produce. Each interaction filled him with warmth, the kind that wrapped around him tightly like a blanket on a cold winter's night. In that bustling market, as Eli joyfully ran around like a whirlwind, Dr. Zollberg found a quiet corner to breathe. She watched Eli, a mix of pride and protectiveness weighing on her heart. Life was unpredictable and fraught with dangers unknown, but in that moment, he was alive. Surrounded by laughter and community, he was finally breaking free, creating bonds that extended beyond the sterile walls they were escaping. Later, as the sun began to set, the world turned golden, and the market began winding down. The vendor offered Eli a warm smile. You did a spectacular job today, young man. Would you like to keep those sunflowers from earlier? Eli blinked in surprise, his heart swelling. For real? They're mine? They're yours, the vendor gratefully nodded, and with the sunflowers in hand, Eli rushed back to Dr. Zollberg, his small face lit with joy. Look what I got, he exclaimed, launching himself into her arms. She caught him, lifting him into the air in a gentle embrace. My goodness, you are becoming quite the helper, she said, spinning him around. He giggled as her laughter echoed against the surrounding buildings, a melody of harmony that filled the air. But reality dictated that amidst the joy, shadows loomed just beyond their embrace. They managed to blend seamlessly into the market life, yet their presence felt distinct. The stories of the past haunted Dr. Zollberg, whispering fears in her ear that their respite would soon vanish. But she cast those thoughts aside for the moment. All that mattered was Eli, his laughter, and the warmth of his smile. As the last of the vendors closed their stands, they decided to explore their new environment further. They strolled into a nearby park where trees stretched high, laser-cutting through the twilight sky. Dr. Zollberg settled onto a bench, and they watched as shadows of children danced and twirled in the fading light, creating magic in the evening's embrace. But a sudden commotion caught their attention. A boy, older and larger than Eli, was blocking the path of a smaller child wearing a hand-painted t-shirt, his expression a mixture of confusion and fear. Eli watched closely, his heart thumping with empathy. "Hey! Let him go." Eli felt a fierce surge rise within him, urging him to step forward. "It's not nice to pick on someone smaller than you." The larger boy turned, thick eyebrows knitting into a frown. "What are you gonna do about it, little shrimp?" Eli swallowed hard, holding Dr. Solberg's supportive gaze as she stood to one side, arms folded but filled with encouragement. "You don't have to bully. We can all play together." The boy stared at him, the larger one sizing him up, but he hesitated. In that moment, Eli became aware of the accumulated warmth of those sunflowers clutched tightly against his chest, a reminder of the goodness he carried inside. As the standoff became tense, the younger boy looked up at Eli, searching for something he might provide. Eli approached slowly, kneeling beside him, feeling the power of connection wrapping around them as if forming a barrier against the tension. "Why are you making fun of him?" Eli asked bluntly, a hint of worry breaking through his brave fade. "He didn't do anything wrong." For a moment, the larger boy felt uncertain. The world around them seemed to still as silence wrapped its arms around them. Suddenly, a sound of laughter erupted from the surrounding children. Newcomers joined their game, and the focus shifted away from the confrontation. Eli stood firm, unwavering, and offered the smaller boy his hand. "Would you like to join us?" In that moment, the magic of connection unfolded unexpectedly. Their situation, born out of pressure and assumed hostility, transformed as the incoming laughter bridged the gap between hearts. The enlarged boy sensed the shift and, begrudgingly, joined in the laughter, quickly realizing he could either walk away or choose to explore a path of kindness. As Eli led the smaller boy toward the crowd of children, the large boy lingered for a moment before reluctantly stepping back into the warmth of camaraderie. United by their pure innocence and intention, the three of them soon blended seamlessly with the games pulsating across the park tag, laughter and joy wrapping around them like a protective embrace. Dr. Zollberg stood by, her heart swelling with pride. Watching Eli choose kindness even in challenging moments deepened their bond and showcased the magic of connection. She could feel the world blossoming around him, nurturing the spirit within as he continued to grow. But despite this growth and connection, a flicker of uncertainty remained in her heart. Eli hadn't just ignited joy for others, he ignited something within himself that beckoned darker shadows to follow. As twilight deepened, painting the sky in richer hues of blue, there was still a sense of urgency nagging at her consciousness. They still needed to establish deeper roots, while the clock continued its relentless tick. As stars flickered into existence above, Dr. Solberg could only watch with pride and concern etched across her face. With each playful leap and burst of laughter gathered threads of hope, igniting warmth and connection around them. But she could never shake the reality of their circumstance. It was less than a triumph, and more of a dawning awareness that while Eli was stepping into his light, darkness still thrived somewhere near. With this in mind, she approached him as the children's laughter echoed under the stretching sky. "Eli," she called, kneeling to his eye level once more, and gently cupping his face. "You showed incredible bravery today. Remember, kindness can shape the world when fear threatens to darken our hearts." The fleeting moment of clarity reminded them both of the strength they found in each other, but the weight of the world pressed heavily on her heart. It was essential to remember the fragile threads that tied them together, and how quickly life could turn, yet still, there was light in the cracks. As they prepared to leave the park, twilight deepening into an velvety abyss overhead, the joy created that day lingered in the area lines of uncertainty creased Dr. Solberg's heart anew. They were not just two lost souls. They were becoming part of something larger than themselves, a community that thrived off compassion and togetherness in a world that often overlooked those qualities. With the stars now twinkling brightly above, guiding them onward like the celestial beings Dr. Solberg had woven into her tales, Eli tugged at her hand, excitement swirling in his eyes. "Can we come back tomorrow?" he asked earnestly. "I want to help more people, to make friends." She nodded, smiling at the boundless spirit in front of her. "Of course, Eli. But remember, every heart carries its own story. Kindness bridges those stories together." As they turned to leave, she noticed the magnitude of what was unfolding, a delicate dance of connection, forming with each small interaction, each burst of laughter in the dusk. But little did they know the storm was brewing just beyond the horizon, one that would challenge everything they had built together. Would their newfound ties endure the trials that awaited, or would darkness sweep over the heartwarming glow they had ignited? With the night deepening, each step they took resonated with the duality of hope and fragility as the beauty of a burgeoning light stood poised against the encroaching shadows, awaiting the storm that might come. The journey was far from over, and the stakes continued to loom ever higher. But in their hearts remained the whispers of a truth that could bind even the most delicate of moments. It was about kindness, courage, and the power of connection. They walked into the night, not knowing what the next day would bring, yet fully aware that they navigated together against all odds, a heartwarming tale still in the making. The sun rose gently over the horizon in soft pastel shades, breathing life into the city that lay beneath its warm embrace. Birds flitted through the air, cheerful and carefree, heralding the beginning of a new day full of possibilities. Eli awoke to the sounds of the world stirring outside, a world that felt far removed from the cold metal corridors of the laboratory he had escaped. In that moment, wrapped in the warmth of the blanket, he felt the weight of an endless sky pressing down upon him, filled with fresh dreams and pathways he had yet to wander. As the morning light filtered through the shrew window, Eli sat up. The sunflowers Dr. Solberg had gifted him resting proudly on his bedside table, their yellow faces turned towards the light. Each bloom was a reminder of the strength and resilience he carried inside. He could still remember the joy of helping at the market, filling the baskets with laughter and light. While Dr. Solberg brewed tea in the kitchen, Eli could hear the gentle clinks from her teacup as she prepared for the day. Soon he joined her, moving silently through the shared space, knowing the day ahead was one filled with potential. "Good morning, sunshine," she smiled, her curls bouncing with every word. "Are you ready for another day of adventure?" Eli nodded vigorously, his heart swelling with excitement. "Yes. I can't wait to help more people today." "Do you think we'll see the children again?" "Absolutely. I think they might be expecting us," she replied, pouring him a steaming mug of tea, the sweet aroma infusing the air like a comforting embrace. Before long, the two donned light jackets and ventured outside, the sunlight casting a playful glow on the cracked sidewalks as they made their way toward the park. As they walked, Eli shared dreams of all the wonderful things they could do together: a community garden, a storytelling circle with the kids, and even a festival to celebrate their friendship with the neighbors. Each step they took resonated with a sense of purpose, and Ella's heart thudded with exhilaration. With Dr. Solberg's guiding hand, he began to envision a community transformed by acts of kindness, excitement bubbling within him. Upon reaching the park, a warm smile greeted them. Children were already gathered in groups, their laughter mingling with the song of the tree branches swaying in the gentle breeze. Eli's heart soared at the sight. The young boy he had befriended the previous day, Sam, sprinted toward him. "Eli!" Sam shouted, pure joy radiating from his face. "You came back. We were hoping you would." Eli grinned, his excitement bubbling over. "Of course. Let's play." Together, they explored the nooks and crannies of the park, discovering sun-drenched corners where grass grew plush and vibrant wildflowers hid like treasure chests waiting to be opened. As they played tag and shared stories, Dr. Solberg took a step back to observe, her heart swelling with pride and warmth. She could see the connection blossoming between Eli and the other children, an invisible thread weaving their stories into one shared tapestry. Throughout the day, Eli initiated various games, from scavenger hunts among the trees to make-believe adventures that transported them into imaginative realms, where they were all heroes. With each game, Eli emitted a lightness that drew others closer, drawing children from all corners of the park to join him. In those moments, they weaved a tapestry of friendship and community, a bright and colorful saga enriched by kindness and shared experiences. Shadows of the past began to dissolve with each shared laugh, each kind word exchanged between them. As the sun reached its zenith, the laughter attracted others' families, parents and guardians, who observed the children with admiration, some even joining in the fun. Dr. Zollberg greeted them warmly, speaking about Eli's ideas of creating a community garden where they could plant vegetables and flowers to foster connections, harvest joy, and strengthen ties that bound them all together with nature. Eli's eyes sparkled as he expanded on the tall garden idea. We could plant tomatoes and carrots, and flowers that grow bright. Everyone can help. A thoughtful parent named Maria stepped forward, her daughter Luna clutching her hand. That sounds wonderful. I love gardening. We could start a weekend workshop where everyone can come together. Her enthusiasm was infectious, and it quickly captured the interest of other parents. With each building conversation, Eli breathed deeper, feeling an irreplaceable thread wind itself around him. While laughter and joy danced around them, conversations flourished, visions for the community garden began to crystallize, and plans started to take shape. As the sun dipped lower in the evening sky, painting a brilliant tapestry of pinks and oranges, Dr. Zollberg called everyone together in a circle. She looked at the children, then at the assembled parents, her heart glowing with pride. This idea of a community garden could be so much more than just a place to plant seeds, she began. It could transform our neighborhood into a safe, beautiful space for everyone. A place where we all grow and share, where Ellis light can continue to shine. Eager murmurs connected them, and hands shot up in excitement as more volunteers came forth to lend their time, knowledge, and resources. We could turn that empty lot over by the park into our garden, another parent suggested. Yes, I know a local organization that can help with supplies, added a seasoned gardener, her face lit with passion. Eli couldn't hold back his excitement, his voice rising above the chatter. We can make it the best garden ever. Let's plant flowers of every color. And vegetables. It'll help too. I promise. The sincerity in his voice silenced the murmurings, and laughter bounced playfully like springs, illuminating the hope brimming in the air. The moment felt electric, as if they were all bound together in a powerful current of optimism. Days turned into weeks, and every sunset marked another session of community building, of shared dreams and collaboration. The park transformed, fueled by kindness, passion, and determination. Eli, with Dr. Zollberg often by his side, took the lead. He mapped out plots in the earth, planted seeds with hopeful hands, and engaged the community, collecting stories that would cultivate empathy. A beautiful garden gradually unfurled its petals, thriving in every corner as flowers and vegetables sprung up towards sunlight, just as friendships flourished around it. Families bonded over planting days, children danced in the shapes of flowers, and laughter echoed amidst newly blossomed friendships. They turned strangers into neighbors, and echoes of love rang loud through their shared laughter and songs. As the garden thrived, so did the community. With every plant that blossomed, so did connections deepen, relationships strengthened that helped heal old wounds. Kindness wrapped around every interaction, enriching the tapestry of lives woven together in that tiny corner of the world. But even amidst joy, shadows lurked, challenges arose. A sudden storm rolled through, drastically impacting the delicate blooms that had sprung forth. One evening, as the semi-rushed clouds cast an ominous gray over the neighborhood, Dr. Zollberg noticed a flicker of fear in Ellis' eyes. What happens if the garden gets ruined? He whispered, the weight of those words heavy on his heart. What if everything we've done breaks apart? Dr. Zollberg knelt before him, holding his small hands in hers. The garden may face storms, Ella, but it's okay. We can protect it together, just like we've done before. Growth isn't always linear. Sometimes it needs challenges to become stronger. The beauty of life comes from how we respond to those challenges. Her soothing words offered safety and warmth, addressing Eli's deep longing for stability and hope. The next day was pivotal. They gathered the community to brace for the storm and create temporary shelters around the tender shoot. Laughter and encouragement became the tools that helped each person rise against the encroaching elements. As gusts of wind howled through the neighborhood, Eli remained steadfast, looking into the eyes of those around him. "We can do this together. We'll protect everything. We're stronger together." His voice rang out, an anthem wrapped in the spirit of unity and resilience. Once the storm passed, they emerged determined and hopeful. As they inspected the garden, together they breathed deep pulses of concern, and uncertainty beckoned whispers of fear, but with hands together touching the frail sprouts, their determination poured forth. Over time, they discovered that while the storm might have trampled some flowers, their roots were still intact. Seeds had turned resilient, and with love, care, and nurturing the garden would burst forth anew. Weeks passed, and the community blossomed into a landscape of colorless roses entwined with daisies, peppers hugging the tomatoes, butterflies fluttering among vibrant blooms. As the garden flourished, so too did the community spirit. With hands working together, they gathered for celebration potluck barbecues that intertwined their stories, rich dishes filled with laughter, and children learning the art of farming under the watchful eyes of the elders. Guided by light and love, they organized a garden festival, a celebration of resilience, friendship, and unity. The day felt electric, as the park filled with refreshments, games, and laughter from 100 voices intermingling like the colors of freshly bloomed flowers. As they reveled in joy, Eli stood under a massive oak tree, the canopy overhead like a theater, absorbing the festival before him. He felt the warmth of the sun on his skin and heard music filling the air with delightful melodies. Dr. Zollberg approached, joining him under the shelter of the grand oak. "Look at what you've created, Eli," she said, her voice dripping with pride and warmth. "You've lit a spark that brought everyone together." Eli grinned, eyes sparkling with revelation. "Everyone helped. We worked in the garden together, just like you said. Kindness made it all grow." Tears of joy welled in Dr. Solberg's eyes, touched by the innocence and wisdom radiating from him, embodying the spirit of growth and possibility. "You have not only grown plants, Eli, you've nurtured a community." As twilight descended, the festival erupted into a burst of joy, and laughter echoed throughout the park. The celebration carried the heartbeat of friendship, the seed of connection, sown deep within their garden, a bond crafted through kindness and growth that would endure life's storms. As friends and families gathered around a stage for a grand performance, Eli felt the weight of happiness swell within him. There, in the glow of twinkling lights strung through the trees, he stood among his neighbor students of life who had woven relationships in their journey of resilience. The performance showcased stories of their shared experiences within the garden, interspersed with laughter and heartfelt sentiment. Each person stood before the crowd, reflecting on the values of kindness, love, and community while holding dewy petals in their hands as tokens of appreciation. When it was Eli's turn, he walked up to the stage, the light reflecting off his bright smile. "Thank you all. You are all my friends. You helped me grow. And just like these flowers, we need each other to make each other beautiful." The crowd erupted in applause, their laughter ringing as if music rippled through the air, a melody of gratitude echoing among them. As the festival waned and dusk settled in, the garden stood proudly, its vibrant blooms gazing up at the stars now emerging in the sky. Eli and Dr. Solberg walked to the edge of the garden, hand in hand, their hearts full from witnessing the transformation of their community, the essence of hope, encapsulated in a single shared moment. "Look at everything we've built together," Dr. Solberg said softly, gazing out over the twinkling stars that peeked from the heavens. "This is just the beginning." Eli looked up, the flickering lights illuminating his face. "I never thought I could be part of something so big and so beautiful." Dr. Solberg leaned down to hug him tightly, warm and secure like a protective blossom. "You are a beacon of light, Eli. You have a way of drawing people in, showing them the beauty of kindness and connection. We all create beauty by being ourselves. As the stars twinkled above, and the sounds of joyous celebration echoed in their hearts, an understanding rooted itself deep within Eli. They had empowered each other. They were a community now forever linked by love and kindness. And as they walked home together that night, under a starlit sky, the lingering warmth of friendship wrapped around them an indelible bond that could weather any storm. The future lay ahead, filled with light, laughter, and gardens enriched, not just by blooms but by shared stories, dreams, and the ever-evolving beauty of connection. Life would continue to unfold in surprising ways, and challenges would always come. But united in spirit and nurtured by love, they would weather whatever storms awaited them. Eli felt a new world unfurling before him, infused with kindness, hope, and a community woven with threads of shared experiences that would continue to flourish for years to come. In that moment, all was well. A bright dawn cast their shoulders into the light, the promise of tomorrow whispering sweetly, a heartwarming journey toward growth, and boundless love forever etched in the soil of their lives.